Hey everybody, we are back and we are going to be working on the Camaro today. We finally got some time to tear down the Camaro and get it prepped and ready, so then we can just cut out the bottom of the frame rail and re-weld in some new nuts so the cross member can mount to the frame now. So, well, first thing we got to do is we got to support the transmission, and then we can take the exhaust off, then we can take the cross member off. And then we'll be ready to slice and dice and re-weld and, all the good stuff. So let's get right into it. So I got the exhaust off. It was pretty easy. It was only 3 clamps and it pops right off the whole kind of metal section. But yeah, this is my exhaust setup. I mean, there's no cat. It's just a straight piped all the way, a Y coming off the headers. I think it's a 3-inch pipe going into a 4-inch Y and then 3-inch out the back. It's pretty simple, really. And then we got the cross member, the tranny cross member off. This is a Hawks Motorsports cross member, and this cross member is for the headers, which are from Hawks as well. So that's, you got to buy, when you do exhaust, you got to buy the cross member usually, because that's, otherwise you're going to run into fitment issues. So, but here, I'll show you what I think is going on. Actually, let me grab a flashlight first. So, as you can see, right here, so this is where the bolts were when I was driving, and then they exited the vehicle. But you can see the threads are all chewed up, like the threads were weak. And then the weight of the transmission, when you hit like a bump or whatever, it just couldn't hold, the bolts couldn't hold in there anymore, and they just ripped out. So, and obviously you don't use the third hole there, obviously, and that's pretty corroded, but I may just replace that as well, because, so we'll cut the plate up in here, we'll cut it out here and maybe somewhere down here, and then we'll have a whole plate that we can, we'll re-weld all the nuts on and then weld the whole plate back in. I think that's going to be the game plan. And I'm thinking I'm going to do that side, the other side as well, because we might as well, honestly. And then I'll fix, at one point, somebody that owned this car definitely bottomed out several times. I mean, you can see it all across the floorboards as somebody bottomed out on that corner. And actually, that big dent in there, that was from me. My exhaust broke one day, hit the ground, and, went right into the floor. It sounded like a grenade went off. But we'll fix that up so the cross member will fit nicer. And, it shouldn't be too bad. A little hammer dolly and, whatever else. And it should be good to go. But, yeah, so I think that's what we're going to do is we're going to cut it out like that. And, oh, flashlight died. So, obviously, somebody's not been charging it. And, yeah, we'll cut it out, re-weld the nuts on, and weld it back in. Should be pretty simple. So as you can see, we got the bottom of the frame rail cut out, and of course when you do something like that, you're gonna see there's always a little bit of rust inside that frame rail, and this is actually the floorboard. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go over it with the Scotch-Brite wheel and just clean it up, and then we'll just paint it, and so it's all nice and sealed. And then we'll fix this little end here a little bit. There is supposed to be a little bend in it, but right in this corner, it's kind of all crushed in. So we'll fix that and get it all lining up better than it was. And then we'll be ready to weld it back in. But let's go see the piece that I cut out here. So this is the bottom of the frame rail. And these are the three nuts that are for the tranny cross member. And, they're pretty crusty a little bit. I didn't think they were going to be kind of like this, so what I may have to do is go buy some washers and then maybe weld the nut inside so to give it more strength than, because I didn't realize they were this style or whatever. So I thought just the plate was enough strength. I guess not, so maybe I'll have to get a bunch of washers and then weld the nut to those washers and then weld the washers to the plate. Not really sure how I'm going to do it yet, but obviously when we take those off, we're going to try and straighten this out a little bit. That's a big gouge in there, and, I don't want to weld it just back in place like that because, I mean, we're here, let's fix it, let's do it right. You know what I'm saying? And you can see there's kind of a little bend in it too, even on the plate. So, but a big hammer will fix that. So I ain't worried about that. So yeah, I'm gonna take these nuts off, and then I'm gonna see what we can do here. So after spending some time thinking about what I wanted to do, I ended up deciding to do a 3-washer stack with the nut in the middle, and I welded them both sides and pretty much tack welded the washers all the way around. So it's going to be pretty solid, these, and you can see the old versus the new. I mean, look at the difference. I mean, it's definitely an upgrade. So what I got to do is, I already ground down the bottom of one, but I got to do the other 5, and then these will be ready to we'll be able to prep the surface in here. We'll spray some weld through primer on there just to get extra coating. So when I weld it, oh, I will have to slightly grind down the side so it sits flush where the hole is. But that's not a big deal. But then after that, we'll be able to spray some primer down, and then we'll be able to weld these on in place. And how I'll do that to get it where I want it is, these bolts are exactly the same size as the hole. So I'll just, after I'm done grinding the side, I can thread one of these in there, and that'll hold the nut in place where I need it, so I can weld it exactly where it has to go. So I'm going to do that. We'll grind these down, prep it for paint, get these all fitted nice, and then we're just going to weld the 3 in, and then we'll just start the new, we'll start the passenger side. We'll cut that out, and that may be a next video because this video is getting kind of long, but we'll do that, and then we can wrap up this job. Man, this is one of the toughest jobs I've ever had to do. So, all right, let's get to it. Just to show you an update, so I grinded down the sides, so everything seems to fit pretty nice and flush. I mean, decent. I mean, the frame rail's technically not straight either, so it's okay. And everything seems to thread in nicely. This is awesome. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cool these down because they're really hot from grinding the sides down. And then I'll just take them off. I'll undo all the bolts and everything. And then we can prep the surface, and then we'll spray some weld through primer on the bottom of these, of the nuts itself, and the bottom of the plate, just so when I'm welding, we got the maximum amount of corrosion protection we can have the max amount of corrosion protection we can have. And then we're ready to, I'll do one at a time when I weld them in, and then we'll be good to go, man. And then we can weld this side back in, and then, kind of pretty much repeat the process on the other side. We got everything prepped up, and we sprayed some weld-through primer on there. We even did the bottom of the nuts, so they should be ready to weld. They've been sitting for 20 minutes, and they're pretty dry. So all I got to do now is bolt those nuts back in with these right here, and so that'll center them and keep them, nice and center. And then we can just weld them all the way around, and they should be 100% good. So let's do it. Here's an update. I got the inside of the frame rail in primer now. I'm just going to let it dry a little bit, and then we're going to paint the inside of it black so it's all nice and coated. I finished welding, obviously, as you can see. This is the second attempt at welding these in there. I tried the weld through primer, and the welder was sputtering, and then also some reason I was having a gas issue where I wasn't getting gas to the weld, so the welds had a lot of porosity in it. But I got it fixed now, so this is what I got right now. I'm just waiting for it to dry, and then we'll paint it black, and then this piece is officially done and ready to weld into the car. We got the inside bracket painted, so this piece is going to be ready to weld in. I'm going to end the video here, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we weld this sucker back in and then cut the other side out and repeat the process.